Hi, I'm Mark Farner, and you're watching CMS TV.
That's UFO from their latest release called The Visitor, and once again we have a member of UFO calling into the Classic Metal Show, and for the first time we want to welcome drummer Andy Parker to the Classic Metal Show. Welcome to the Classic Metal Show there, Andy.
Thank you so much, Neeley. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, Andy, we've had several of your bandmates here on the show over the years, and I believe this is the first time that we've had the honor of interviewing you. And you and I were talking off air a little bit, and this is your second release after rejoining the band, and the new CD is called The Visitor. And I was wondering, is that any reference to you? Are you just visiting the band this time around?
Hopefully not. No, there's several schools of thought as to the title of the album. I think as is been the case with this band, we tend to have some pretty interesting album covers and titles, and there's several. But no, hopefully I'm not visiting. I'm here to stay as long as it keeps going the way it's going. I can't see me going anywhere else.
Sure. Well, I just mentioned there, Andy, that you were out of the band for a short time, and Jason Bonham was, playing drums with the band there until he decided to leave, and he was playing with Foreigner, and then he went off to work with what remains of Led Zeppelin, and you've returned to the fold. Where did you go, and what did you do? Well,
this is actually my third, believe it or not, stint with the band. I left the first time in '83, and as I've discussed this before with people, life doesn't always go the way you plan it. It's kind of it can sometimes get in the way of the professional side. So. 83, I left the first time, spent some time raising a child, and just pursued a different life. 94, I hooked up with the guys again and did Walk on Water with Michael, and was kind of the old lineup, which was very enjoyable, but it still wasn't really where I wanted to be. I loved doing the album; it was a great experience, but as you know, to rejoining the band full time, it just really wasn't what I wanted to do. So then I actually was working for my family for the last 11 years. Up until 2005, I actually moved back to the States, but for 11 years I went to work for my family in England doing a completely different job, running a sheet metal shop. If you can believe that. Metal's always in there somewhere, isn't it?
Sure.
No, it was a complete departure, but, it's for me, it's kind of like, if it's not what I want to be doing at the time, there's not a lot of point. It's kind of music. It has to be the music, and it has to be fun, and it just wasn't always like that. And now it is, and so I'm back, and hopefully we'll stay.
Sure. Now that's interesting that you jumped off to do a whole different line of work, and obviously you're a veteran, accomplished drummer, and you're in a legendary band, UFO, which. You guys are celebrating your 40th anniversary,
can you believe that?
Which I understand Phil doesn't want to shed any of the spotlight on that. He feels that's kind of ridiculous to even commemorate 40 years.
Well, I think I personally think it's an amazing achievement. And he should take most of the credit because let's be honest, that guy has been in the band the whole time. We've come and Paul's been and gone, Pete's been and gone, I've been and gone, but Phil Mogg has always been there, and if it wasn't for Phil Mogg, there would be no UFO, and that's just fact. And he still continues to amaze, he still comes up with the goods. I mean, I love the new album, and, I just feel very privileged to still be able to do this, after so long, and still be in a band that's to my mind, still growing. Moving on, not standing still. I mean, the music is moving, in new directions, and the band is kind of, to me, I don't know, was it maturing? Is maybe not right. You'd probably kill me if you heard me say that. But I just really like where we're at right now, and I think it's a hell of an achievement to still be doing that after 40 years.
Sure. I agree with you. Well, another thing I want to know, I know you got a new CD, and obviously that's the reason why you're here. But it's not it's not very often we get to speak to the drummer of any band, because most often it's either the lead guitarist or the singer.
Yeah.
The drummer is the unsung hero. He's just back there keeping the time, and he's just glad to have a gig. But speaking of drumming and the fact that you mentioned that you were doing some family business there, what did you do, aside from the family business when it came to your drumming skills? Did you just pick up little gigs on the side, or did you just practice in your own home? To be
honest, between 83 when I first left and then 84, I had a little stint with Wasted, with Pete's splinter band that he'd formed. Then from 84 onwards, I was pretty much still kind of involved in the music. I had several projects going. I co-owned a studio with a good friend of mine, a guy called Bobby Bath, who now is the frontman for Blackfoot. We owned a studio in Burbank, and we had a band, as well as owning the studio and working the studio. We had a band, and we were looking to get a deal. It didn't actually happen. I think at that time they were signing New Kids on the Block and stuff like that. Weren't really interested in us, but this happens. And so I kind of kept in the business. But come 1994, when I moved back to England, from 1994 to 2005, I wasn't really playing at all.
Didn't even practice? Didn't even break out?
No, I mean, I've got to be honest, I've never been a great practicer. In the old days we were playing all the time. You didn't have time to practice, and it's not one of my strong points. Although it is more now, I have to say, I practice a lot more now because it took me a long time to get back to where I was. But when I did the show with them in 2005, in November of 2005, which was quite out of the blue, I wasn't planning to go back in the band. I pretty much thought music was out of my life, not because I particularly wanted it to be. It just wasn't going that way, And I got this surprise call from Mr. Raymond asking me if I'd be interested in coming back, but I was extremely rusty, I have to say. So.
Yeah, well, but not playing or practicing for almost 11 years, I would say so.
Yeah, and it's funny. You get people say to you, well, isn't it just like riding a bike? You never forget. And I have to say, well, yeah, it is kind of like, you don't forget, but it's kind of like if you haven't ridden a bike for 11 years, someone putting you in the Tour de France and expecting you to do it, it's not that easy to just come back and do, a 2-hour set with UFO. It's a lot of energy needed there. So, I'm obviously, I made it, and I'm hoping that, I've worked hard and hopefully my plan's back up to scratch.
Sure. Yeah.
Well,
I got to ask you, Andy, as far as the other members of the band are concerned, I was telling you off air that, I know Pete way personally, and, he's had his struggles up and down and couldn't get, having problems getting back in and out of the U.S. and whatnot. And I understand he's having some physical problems. He
has some medical problems. Pete has a serious liver condition, which, had become a problem for him, health-wise, absolutely. So he just decided before we started work on this album, we finished our touring schedule last year, and, he decided he really needs to get some help with this, get some medication and see what could be done. And, unfortunately, that meant that, he had to be close to his doctor, and also I understand the medication that he's undergoing is pretty heavy on him, physically. So he just felt that he couldn't really, fulfill his commitments, and it was just decided that it's better for him to get healthy. Obviously, that's where our first concern was like that he would be, get his health back. So. So in that respect, we decided that that we would obviously need someone to do the album because we were getting ready to go into the studio, and we didn't want to replace Pete. I mean, we didn't want people to even think he'd been replaced. I mean, I know over the years he has had visa problems, as we discussed, and we've had to use different bass players in the United States. But other than that, Pete was there in Europe and wherever else. But we didn't want people to actually think that he'd been replaced. So when it came the time to decide who would play on the album, rather than pick somebody who'd maybe, stood in for him live, which might give people the impression that, oh, hang on, that's it, they've got someone full-time now. our manager had contact in Germany, a really nice bass player also called Peter, funny enough, and he did the album for us. And his name is Peter Pichel. He actually plays for the band Nectar. I think that is his full-time gig, if you're familiar with them. But a very nice chap. And he just turned up at rehearsals, totally prepared, and did a great job. To be honest, Neeley, it was a difficult decision because, you know, trying to work without a bass player. I mean, UFO, the rhythm section is the bass and the drums. You know,
Sure.
If you don't have a bass player, that's just me. You know, and that's not really what it should be. So, thank goodness this chap was available, and he did a really, really good job. And I'm assuming you've heard the album.
Yes.
Yes, I think he did an excellent job. Although you probably, if you have the promotional copy, it doesn't actually tell you who's playing bass.
Right.
Hey, you. Why are you watching this with commercials? Go commercial-free and unlock exclusive content. Become a VIP today on Locals, Substack, or Rumble Premium. Stop waiting.
I guess Paul McCartney wasn't available?
Not quite in our league, is he? But no, I mean, this guy, he was great. He was really easy to get. I mean, because that's the thing, you know, you kind of, an album is a very personal thing to a band. And there was some kind of trepidation, well, maybe we should use somebody that, you know, that we know. And it was kind of like, well, yeah, but, you know, that's kind of getting maybe a little bit too deep, you know. So, and I think you would go back to our earlier thing about Phil not wanting to talk about the 40 years. I think this has a lot to do with it, too, that Pete isn't really around for it, you know.
Sure.
I mean, to be honest, next year will be our 40th anniversary of the release of our first album, so, you know, God willing, Pete would be well, and we'll make that the 40th anniversary, yeah?
Well, I don't know if this means anything to you, because I get mixed reactions to this, and you know, some bands make a big deal about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and other bands could care less about it. Chris and I, my partner Chris and I, we think it's kind of a sham, even though both of us are from the Cleveland area.
Right.
What's your thoughts on UFO being inducted into the Hall of Fame someday, if ever?
Okay, well, I've actually just recently started getting this kind of feedback about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And in fact, I was on our website just before I spoke to you, I got on the phone with you, just looking at the guest books. I like to kind of see what people are saying, and there was somebody on there complaining about calling it the Rock and Roll Hall of Shame. So, you know, obviously there's thoughts out there. But I did hear recently that Metallica's bass player actually, he was asked who he would like to see inducted, and he very kindly said UFO, which I thought was very nice of him.
Well, you guys are influential.
Well, apparently so. Who'd have thought, eh? But no, I thought it was very nice. And you know, hey, I'm sure if they offered, we'd be honoured. You know, but I have to say, you know, I'm always blown away by our fans. I mean, we've had fans, you know, that have stuck with us since the beginning, that know about the first albums, and you know, and they're just the best people in the world. I mean, you know, we wouldn't be here where we are, you know, without those guys. So. Thank you to all of you.
Sure. Now, obviously, one of the key members of UFO that has, you know, made an impact in his own right, and who's been in and out of the band many times over the years, obviously, is Michael Schenker.
Yeah, actually in and out of the band on the same night a lot of the time.
Sure. Now, you've worked with Michael, and we've had Michael on the show here on a few occasions, and I've had an opportunity to speak with him on a couple occasions. What do you attribute, and this isn't a bash session here, but I just wanted your opinion, maybe you can give the fans a little insight. What do you attribute to his odd behavior and mannerisms at times?
You mean, what do I attribute them to?
Yeah, like, what, you know, like UFO has a new record, you're out touring, and then bang, I quit the band, I'm walking off stage, I'm out of here.
First of all, let me say that I love Michael. He's a fantastic guitar player, a lovely guy. But as we were saying earlier, sometimes your personal life gets in the way of your professional life.
Sure.
Some people, that happens more than with others. You know, there's just different people. Some people are not built for that particular. I mean, Elvis Presley, for example. You know, poor guy. You know, I mean, he was incredible talent, but maybe not built for being in that business. And sometimes I think, and it is an extremely hard business to be in, away from home a lot, touring continuously. And I think, sometimes people just, they make commitments, and when the time comes, it's just not the right time. And, it's not like you can kind of, like call in the office and say, I got a cold.
Right.
I'm staying in bed today. Some people, it's harder than others, and that's, to be honest with you, that's a lot of the reason I have spent time out of UFO was, I like that stability. I like to feel that when I go out there, I'm going to at least finish the set, if not the tour, So,
sure.
And that was a problem with me, and that's kind of the reason that I did the album with them in '94, Walk on Water, and left again, because I could still see that kind of, that like sword hanging over there, but it doesn't exist now. And with Vinny, it's just whole different vibe. So,
well, do you feel that Walk on Water should have been titled Walk on Eggshells?
Well, no, actually, to be honest with you, Neeley, it was actually a real pleasure to do. I really enjoyed being back with the guys. Michael was totally together. Everyone was, and we did the album in record time. We rehearsed it, and it went like clockwork. It's just that for me, I had to kind of look at it and go, am I going to trust that this is going to, and I could just see kind of instability there. That's the best word I can, and I was proven right, unfortunately.
Right.
As we know, that, in fact, I was talking to a gentleman today from Italy doing an interview, and we were talking about the same thing, and he said, I went to see Michael in Milan, last year with and he played 4 songs, and then decided he didn't like the audience and left the stage. And that was it, so it's still going on. I mean, what can I tell you?
Right.
Michael's Michael, there's a fine line between genius and madman.
Right, right, to quote Spinal Tap, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There you go. I mean, I didn't find that out that movie as funny as some people. It's a bit close to home.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, we're featured in there. Do you know? I only found this out recently.
Sure.
The thing about getting lost under the stage.
Right.
Yeah. I'd never twigged. I saw that movie 100 times. I own it, and it was only fairly recently. Pete Way said, "Well, we're in there, don't you know?" What's that? And he said, "Oh." Yes, we had lost under the stage. And I remember the gig.
Right.
We did get lost under the stage. We're 15 minutes late on. Yeah, so there you go.
Well, being that, you've been a long-time member of UFO, and you've worked with Michael, and you work with Paul Chapman, and now Vinnie Moore. Speaking of Paul and Vinnie, as an observer, somebody in the band, what do you see as far as the differences in style between Vinnie and Paul, and what do they add to the
Paul Chapman?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, that's a difficult thing, isn't it? You kind of like, you not really compare apples to oranges, compare oranges to oranges, but the thing is about a band that's so involved with the guitar. I mean, it is basically a guitar-centered band. Is you change that guitar player, you're going to change the chemistry, and the writing side of it. And to be honest with you, I just feel privileged to have played with all 3 of them. They're amazing players, and I had some really incredible experiences with all 3 of them. It's just, the chemistry just changes, you can just hear it in the music. And in fact, the interesting thing I find with Vinnie Moore is if you're familiar with his solo material, any of it, he's had several solo albums out. I mean, the guy is just like a full-on shredder. He's a most amazing guitar player. But you put him with UFO, and this whole kind of bluesy side of him comes out that you don't actually see in his solo work so much. And I just find that very interesting. And I'm really digging the way that the band's going right now. I mean, the Monkey Puzzle and now the Visitor. We've really kind of gone back to our roots, as it were, because that's where I started from, that kind of blues boom of the late '60s. So,
right.
And I just find it interesting, that you take Vinnie in as a solo artist and listen to him. You'd never kind of almost believe that the way he would write with UFO and the difference, when he plays with us, and it's quite remarkable.
Well, with this new release from UFO, The Visitor, did you have any hand in the songwriting at all?
I had a hand in one song, believe it or not, which is a new thing for me. I mean, traditionally drummers don't always, unless you're Don Henley or something, don't always get involved in the writing. But when I came back to the band and did the Monkey Puzzle, it was pretty much already written because I just kind of came in last minute and there were already plans to go in the studio. So this was the first album that I'd actually had a chance to contribute for some time. And going back to the Bobby Barth story, we had some material that we worked on back then when we were looking for a deal. That's and it's just sat languishing in a box in my attic for 20 years or something. So I kind of dug some of those songs out and submitted them, and one of them we chose to do, and it's actually on there. It's called, now it is called Stranger in Town. It's the last track on the album. It used to be called Lords of the City, but we kind of gave it an update, and Phil wrote some new lyrics to it, and there it is on the album. So good for me.
Well, excellent. Well, Andy, it sounds like you're really enthusiastic about UFO and the fact that you're obviously in the band and you're releasing the new CD and you're going to be out there on tour this year and into the fall, and
absolutely.
You sound like you're in good spirits and you're ready to rock and roll.
I'm in great spirits, and so is the band, and I think we're just going from strength to strength. It's as I said to you, I think it's an absolute phenomenal accomplishment, to still be doing this, and I feel personally very, very grateful because I didn't really think this was going to happen for me again. It wasn't in my agenda, and if Mr. Raymond hadn't made that call in August of 2005, I might not have been doing it. But I'm really glad he did, and it's just great to be back with the guys. And obviously, we hope Pete gets well soon. I know there's a lot of fans out there that wish him well. I see it every day on the guest book on the website. So, say your prayers for him, and hopefully they'll be answered. And meantime, we'll be out there doing it with whoever's filling those enormous shoes.
Sure.
That's quite a job to fill, isn't it? Replacing Pete Way, but there you go. There's people out there that can do it.
Well, Andy, as a drummer, who are some of the drummers that you've looked up to or appreciated their work?
Well, still for me, number one, John Bonham. Gotta be. Always will be. Always has been since the first time I heard him. So, but obviously I grew up, in England, sort of in the '60s. Ginger Baker, Mitch Mitchell, Keith Moon, those guys. But I think when Bonham came along, it just focused it for me. It's like, that's what I want. That's the direction I want to go. So.
Get more metal in your inbox. The Classic Metal Show is on Substack. Listen or watch for free or subscribe for VIP exclusive content. Find us at cmspn.substack.com.
And unfortunately, I still haven't met Jason, but hopefully our paths will cross one of these days.
Very ironic that he filled your shoes there for a while.
There you go, but I just want to tell him how much I thought of his dad. He's, to me, the guy, he just opened my eyes to a whole different approach to playing, so he's the one for me.
Right. Well, excellent, Andy. Well, Andy, I got to tell you, it's been a real pleasure having you here on the Classic Metal Show, and
thank you for having me.
It's always
a pleasure for me too.
It's always a pleasure interviewing anybody from the legendary band UFO, who has a new CD out called The Visitor. Go visit UFO over there at their website and go see them out there on tour. They'll be touring here in the States. And UFO just keeps trucking right along.
We do, and we'll do it for as long as people want us.
So is there anything else you want to let the fans know there, Andy?
No, just thank you for the support. It's obviously wouldn't be doing it without you. And for people like you too, Neeley, thank you for the opportunity to get into to talk to people and give them some insight and just let them know that we're there and we're still doing it, So,
excellent.
Thank you.
Well, Andy, before we let you go, we always ask the traditional Classic Metal Show question. We ask everybody this question. How has Lemmy from Motorhead influenced your career?
That's a great question. Lemmy. Well, I'll tell you what, he showed me how to drink like a man. That's all I can tell you.
Sure. All right.
It's very useful being in a rock band.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Well, go pick up the new UFO release called The Visitor. And Andy, as a tradition here on the Classic Metal Show, we always let the artist pick a closing song from the new CD and maybe tell us a quick story about it. So, what would you like us to play to take us out of the interview?
Well, if I may indulge, it would be Living Proof. It happens to be my wife's favourite track on the album, and I just think it's an interesting, because when Vinny submitted it, it was kind of very funky, and I wasn't at all sure that I was going to really want to play it, you know, and it kind of made it down. Phil obviously heard something in it because he did an incredible job, but when it came down to it, that track just grooved, man, and when I actually played it, you know, I just, you know, it was just a new thing for me. It's kind of like James Brown meets John Bonham, you know, it was kind of different, but that will be my track.
All right, well, here it is. This is brand new UFO from the Visitor release, and this is Living Proof, exclusively here on your Classic Metal Show.
Follow the chaos. The Classic Metal Show is live on X. Stream all the episodes for free, watch the show live every Saturday night, or just get there and find out what is going on with the Classic Metal Show. Get your metal feed, x.com/CMS Rocks.